My dad, in his best year of teaching at Wake Forest, probably never made more than about $20,000 a year. And so every August, he spent what must have been an astonishing proportion of his salary buying the finest stationery available anywhere. It was heavy, it was cream-colored, high rag content, beautiful watermark, the kind of stationery, remember, that had edges that looked like they had been torn. And then he had spent even more money having his name and the name of his department not printed and not embossed, but engraved across the top of every one of those beautiful pieces of paper. And every time I'd turn a piece of it around the platen in that old Underwood, I knew how much money that represented for my family. And I was so careful not to mess any of them up. Every freshman that was due to arrive at Wake Forest in September got in August a letter from my father. Every one of them, 100% of the arriving freshman class. He didn't care if they planned to major in phys ed, in art, in science, in the ministry, in law, in medicine. He made no arrogant assumptions as to who should or shouldn't get the letter. Have you ever made an arrogant assumption that might have cost somebody else a little piece of their souls? Don't ever do that. He made no such assumptions. And so every August I typed, well, over the 4 years I was in high school, I bet I typed thousands of those letters on that beautiful stationery complete with carbons to be filed and followed up on forever. And you remember how we used to be able to tell if a letter had been individually typed? All you had to do was turn it over on the back. And if the periods came through, you knew that somebody, as we say at Hallmark, cared enough to send their very best. For the 4 years that I was in high school, we sent our very best on a letter individually typed that went like this. Dear Lisa, some things you never get away from. Dear Lisa, glad you're coming to Wake Forest. Hope you'll take my course. Whether you do or whether you don't, I just wanted you to know how glad we are that you chose Wake Forest. If you have any problems scheduling the classes that your advisor says you'll need, come find me in the gym on registration day, and I'll go with you to make certain that we get every one of those classes on your list. A new campus can be an intimidating place. My wife and daughters and I have lived here for years and would love to show you around. If you get hungry for some of Mama's cooking, my wife can always put another cup of water in the soup. And if you just want somebody to talk to, you'll notice that my door is always open. And he ended every letter by saying, I am so glad you're coming to Wake Forest. Registration day is a big day for both of us. And when registration day was over and all the class rolls were in place, every September my dad's classes were jam-packed with students. There they were, squeezed into every available seat, lined up all the way around the walls and spilling out into the hallways. And as Paul Harvey would say, the rest of the story is the subject that he taught was Greek. Listen to me. If you make them feel important, they will take Greek from you. Do you suppose there's a lesson in all of that somewhere?